All right, good morning, good evening, good night. Another episode of the Layer 1 podcast. Guys, listen, I'm a little off my game right now. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. It is a little bit later than I'm usually doing these podcasts. I also have a great interviewee here, a guy that I've been looking to have on the channel for a while. So we are going to have a great episode here. Of the Layer 1 podcast. Guys, listen, I'm a little off my game right now. It's 8:30. And we are going to have ourselves a good one. Basically, we are going to continue this episode. Sorry, I had something come up on my screen. Matty, how are you doing today, my man?
Good, man. Good. Happy to be here. This is awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been trying to get you on the channel for a little while. We are basically going to go through all things NFTs. You're working on a great new project called
Oh, yeah.
Meta. This has just been an interview I've been trying to get scheduled for a while, so I'm glad that we were able to finally get that going. How are you doing building the MetaKey project right now? I know we're going to get into NFTs and everything and how the market's going, but how's MetaKey going for you?
Yeah, it's doing well. It was quite overwhelming at the start. We had like thousands of people join the Discord or hundreds of people. And then, we expected to sell like maybe 100 or 200K worth. We ended up selling almost $1 million worth within, 48 hours. And then we were like, holy shit, like this is massive. We went out there and got a team of 4 or 5 people real quick, tried to nurture that Discord and grow on those use cases. But it's been quite exciting because we've got like a community that's very excited about utility and doing stuff in Decentraland or the sandbox, doing pitching ideas and kind of using the blockchain space. So for us, it's been quite exciting to nurture and be part of the community ourselves, about just building about the space, right? It's not just about investing. It's about like gaming or, how to build your, relationships with different in terms of a network and all sorts of things. So it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I really was excited for this interview. You obviously are an influencer in the space, or I think you used experimenter that tweets too much recently. But definitely, I had a conversation with Andrew Steinwald, and I really like talking to guys who view the space in your guys' way. At least before you started the MetaKey project, you were really looking at it in a holistic way, trying to move the space forward as opposed to maybe face down on one project. So I think you have a lot of cool insights that we're going to get to. The first thing I want to hit, though, before we kind of jump into your origin story, is what is your favorite NFT that you own today?
My favorite NFT, I have a few. Um, I would say let's just keep it to art. Oh man, it's tough to give a favorite in terms of art, but I've got a ferocious piece that I love a lot just because of the impact it had when I purchased it. I bought it for a couple of $1,000
Wow.
back in the day, and for me it was learning about what art and NFT investing was in the art space. But when I purchased that, it was like one of the biggest purchases that um, Furo had, and it blew up on YouTube, and everyone started covering art and all that. So it's very special because of the kind of events surrounding it on the purchase time. And obviously now it's probably worth a decent amount of money. But yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah, that inflection point of her kind of taking off. I remember going from maybe relative obscurity. I think we had her on the channel, or had him on the channel here recently, but
Hmm.
really liked the energy and everything that he was bringing. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that inflection point was awesome to see. So, uh, thank you for answering that on the spot. We will get into the origin story of most people know you as DCL Blogger, but I want to know the guy maybe a little bit before that, before you got into Decentraland, and then we'll make our
Hmm.
way into how you found yourself in NFTs. I'm really excited personally for this origin story here, man.
No worries, man. No worries. Um, I kind of studied engineering at uni in 2010. Did I think I graduated 2010, and then I worked as an engineer or a civil engineer for 2 years as a graduate. I liked it. It was kind of fun, but got bored really quickly and found myself just browsing business ideas on the internet all the time, right? As entrepreneurs do, you kind of look for opportunities. And so kind of got bored of it and then quit my job. I had saved up a ton of money at the time, and then I kind of explored making money online. I literally went to Google and Googled how to make money online, as you do at the start. I learned so many things from like phone app development, to using outsourcing work to people on Upwork, from design work to marketing, blogging, YouTubing, and it all kind of came together as I learned a lot about how important marketing is when you're running a business. because I've come up with blogs and ideas and websites and Shopify stores and all this sort of stuff. But unless you can get eyeballs or traction, you can't grow, right? So you need to know how to market and bring awareness. So I did affiliate marketing or e-commerce. There was Shopify and Facebook ads was a very big thing. I know you see a lot of courses about them these days, but back in 2012, 13, they were kind of new, and there was so much opportunity, and that hit really well for me. So for 5 years, I was doing that from 2012 to 2017. Then I found crypto, invested as a noob in 2017, kind of rode the wave up and down again, and learned a lot about all the stuff you shouldn't do. And then 2018, I found NFTs, and everything around me was a lot more quiet, except for NFTs, except for Decentraland at that time, when there was so many people just buying and selling land, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. People are buying and selling lands in the hundreds of thousands. So I was just immersed in there for 2 years straight. My full-time job, day and night, was just hunting for deals, executing on buy and sell purchases, trying to figure out, bulk deals, negotiating with the Chinese Decentraland market, doing all sorts of weird things. But did that for 2 years, and in that time, the space grew much higher and broader, and art became a thing, and gaming became a thing, and now it's much more than that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, man. And I do remember 2017. I was at ICO Alert, just grinding away at that company. And I think we worked with Decentraland to do their Genesis sale, and there weren't many NFTs. I remember our office got in a hubbub when CryptoKitties launched. It was really cool back then, man. But
Nice.
I want to kind of break down the Decentraland piece. So basically, you were turning a profit just trying to flip land at that point. Like, you didn't have, like, Decentraland wasn't paying you. It was just you flipping
No.
profits.
Yeah, for me, it was a realization that I can increase my stack of crypto without putting more fiat in. So I was like, instead of putting more money in and earning money and putting it in, I can flip land from 2,000 mana to 4,000 mana, and I've got 2,000 more mana. I mean, that's epic. All I have to do is keep doing this until the market picks up again, and then I'd be in a great position. So for me, it was just stacking currency as much as possible. I purchased with the intention to invest long term, but within a week or something, I got like an offer for pretty much double the price of the land that I bought, and I was like, "Well, this is cool because I can negotiate my way in at better price and then sell it when another buyer comes onto the market." And because each piece in just NFTs in general, from art to land, each piece has its own way of valuing it, right? Some people may value it for much more than what you purchased it for. So there's massive like gap in between, especially for a new market, to be profitable if you know the market really, really well and there's enough liquidity. So yep, 2 years, 3 years straight, I was just DJing out on buying and selling land day and night.
Yeah, man, and I love that you got into virtual land. I think it's a whole awesome discussion to have. There's obviously these different verticals, these different sub industries within NFTs. You have art, you have collectibles, you have gaming that really hasn't come up to speed at all. But virtual land is such an interesting conversation when you talk about why people want to buy it. There's a lot of people maybe don't have real estate in real life, but they've got virtual land that they can now buy. What was your investing thesis when it came to virtual land? Like, why weren't you trying to flip CryptoKitties instead? Why Decentraland land? And what was your thesis within that?
The way I found Decentraland, so CryptoKitties, I probably just read a news article on it, and that was it. All right, I didn't really look into it much at the time. But with Decentraland, I remember my portfolio coming crashing down in 2017 or 2018 when the market was going south for a bit, and I went to CoinMarketCap and I went to page 2 and I was looking for some other coins to diversify into, and I saw this thing called Decentraland. It had a cool little logo of like this game sort of a thing. And I clicked it, and that's how I found Decentraland. And for me, it was like, oh, cool, there's this game thing that's happening where you can build virtual stuff and you can buy land on blockchain somehow. Didn't really know much about supply and demand and the basic economics that we know runs the market now. But for me, it was like, all right, I can buy this land that seemingly on people in Discord, there's hundreds of messages a day of people buying and selling these. So it's quite active. It looks like it's pretty popular, at least in this community. So, I can't go wrong by buying something for like the base price. So what I did was, I think people were selling and buying them for about 3,000 to 4,000 mana each. And I negotiated the price down to, I think, two of them for 5,000 mana. So I got it for about 2,500 mana each. So for me, it was like, well, if I win on the buy and I negotiate it to a price where I buy it cheaper than the market price, worst case scenario, I sell it for what I purchased at the start. So that was my mindset. And then as I got better at it, I found a way to enter cheaper and sell it high, and like the dynamics of the market, how all that works. But yeah, it made a lot of sense after that.
I love that you were just getting after it on OTC buys and not just doing it like on OpenSea. You were just making
Dude,
it.
OpenSea didn't even exist. Well, OpenSea existed, but I'm not sure if they even supported Decentraland land. And Decentraland themselves didn't even have a marketplace where you could do all this stuff with smart contracts. So if you go to Decentraland marketplace today, that was non-existent when I got involved. People were literally buying and selling and hustling each other on Discord. And I was sending people like 2,000 mana manually and hoping and praying that they'd send the land that they promised to me.
Yeah. Did you ever get screwed? You ever get rugged?
You know what? You know what's crazy? In the hundreds of deals that I've done, I never got scammed.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing. I think it was because we all found a strategy like as a community. So when certain deals happen, they'd be like, oh, Matty's a trusted buyer, or so and so is the trusted seller. And so we'd have these kind of vetting process. So I'd know who the trusted sellers are. And eventually they'd want to sell their whole portfolio, and I'd come knocking on the door and be like, hey, I'll buy your whole portfolio for X amount. They know I'd be a trusted buyer. I would know they'd be a trusted seller. I'd never give them the full amount. So if they're selling 10 pieces of land, there's no way I'm going to give them, 30, 40, 50,000 mana. I'll give them, we'll do it one by one. So they actually want to sell their whole position, so they'll follow through with it. And that was kind of a risk that I took. But hey, if I got scammed after the first 2,000 or 3,000 mana, big whoop. But if it went through, then it was a massive profit, right? Even if I got scammed 1 out of 5 times, it was still profitable overall. But yeah, never ended up getting scammed. So
guys, I promise we're going to make it to MetaKey. I think this is just a great discussion in kind of the timeline of Decentraland. Is Decentraland where you thought it would be now back then?
Mm-hmm. No, it's not. I think back then I was very impatient. I think just general business building takes time, especially game building. That's why NFTs were meant to penetrate the gaming market, but we don't see any games right now that have matured to that point. Maybe Axie Infinity is one of them, maybe a couple of others. But it takes time to build a great game, right? 2, 3 years, 4 years to build a great game, get it from beta to alpha and ready and stable, bug-free and all that sort of stuff. For me, I was like, I'm investing in DCL. And I remember every day we'd ask them, when's this coming out? When's that coming out? And the reality is development takes time. Good products take time to come out. DCL is definitely on a trajectory that I feel very comfortable on. It's like one of the most mature virtual platforms that you can go into right now and basically build your project and let it integrate your own cryptocurrency, your own NFTs, all this sort of stuff. And I'm excited to see what it does, because I think virtual land will be a massive thing.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to get to the rest of the episode here. Guys, I completely botched the intro with the whole video playing at the same time I was talking, so apologies for that. This is the Layer 1 podcast, and we're talking all things DCL Blogger right now, all things MetaKey, which we'll get into. The awesome thing about these episodes is they're live, and then they're put onto audio form afterwards, so we do have a live audience, and Choina is one of our audience members, is wondering, what elite items do you own, Matty?
Elite? So what does that mean?
Oh, E1337, like the whale shark. Did I say that completely wrong?
No, you did say it right. I was wondering if that's what you meant. Is that because of this thing?
I think they saw it.
I've got a really cool jacket that I got for myself, and a shirt. I love their stuff, man. Like, I wore the jacket and the quality is epic. Have you seen the design of the
back
of their stuff?
Yeah, the one on the back with the
jacket, like the front and the back. Is the whole thing?
Nah. I think I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it in videos. I think I've seen. Whale Shark does a great job of marketing. So
it does. No, I'm a fan of. I set up this office recently, so basically the back is going to be decked out with all the stuff that I've got, from Beeple art to Ferocious art to jackets and shirts and shoes and stuff.
Hell yeah! Dude.
But yeah, got a jacket and a shirt.
There's a reason that I have this green screen behind me. This isn't actually my office, people. It's because I don't have any cool shit to put behind me, Matty. So you'll have to do that. So, all right, guys, we will get into the episode. If you have any questions for Matty, please drop them in the chat, and we will get to it. But let's jump into MetaKey, man. You have this project that you've been working on specifically now for the past, you said heads down for like the last 3 months, but I'm sure a little bit beyond that. So take us behind what MetaKey is and what it offers.
So the MetaKey offering is so broad because it can literally do thousands and thousands of different things. Basically, the idea started where people bashing on the NFT industry because they're like, oh, what's this JPEGs and images that are selling, right? The whole NFTs have come to mean literally just an image with a price value on it that mainstream now picks up as that's what an NFT is. Obviously, we know it's much more than that, and art has its place, and art is awesome. For us, it was kind of like a bit of a bummer because NFTs can do so much. So why aren't we building on the utility side of things, right? Why aren't we using these NFTs into games or getting different platforms to speak to each other by using a single NFT where you can go on one platform and maybe it gives you a different set of data. You can go to another platform, allows you to stake it there and get zero fees on maybe some cryptocurrency exchange trading, take it to Decentraland, that NFT evolves and turns into a dragon, take it to Sandbox and that becomes an avatar. So it's like this one NFT called the MetaKey that you purchase for 0.2 Ethereum. And we are going to provide as much value as we can with partnership integrations where 10, 20, 50, 100 different projects will now accept the MetaKey to do something. Basically, everything in the real world or on the internet that requires a username and password, from your Netflix subscription to your Amazon subscription, that can all be replaced by an NFT. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is just sign in, click your MetaMask, and it knows that you have the NFT, and boom, it knows who you are, and it gives you the access, right? So what we're trying to do is just basically plug into all these platforms, and we have a few cool things we're working on. From we've got we're going to buy a pretty big piece of land in a virtual world soon, and so if you have the MetaKey, you can kind of build on that land. It stops you don't have to go and buy the virtual land yourself. You've got cryptoartpulse.com that has 100, 200 people visit every day. And so we're going to do some sort of competition where you can display an ad for your art or your business on cryptoartpulse.com using the MetaKey. So we'll build some sort of an interface in between. You can go take it to Decentraland and it'll give you maybe special access to, after a concert or something, maybe we'll have an interview with the artist and you can only do that with the VIP area accessible with the MetaKey. It's kind of like a completely open-ended thing now where whether we want to go in the DeFi space and integrate it there or even like real-life coupons, there's no reason why e-commerce stores or real-world stores, eventually, like I can see people having the MetaKey on their wallet, just scanning it and getting like a 10% discount on a real-world item. Or taking it to Shopify, some Shopify store. What's a Shopify store? I don't know, Kylie Jenner Cosmetics or something. Yeah. And then you sign in with your MetaMask and it gives you like a 2% store-wide discount. So we're working on some shops as well to integrate them as discounts. And really the world is open to suddenly get interoperability on mass scale where you have this one thing and you're here because of all the cool shit it allows you to do. If you come to the Web3 space, if you come to the Metaverse, if you come to the virtual world, you see someone flying a dragon or wearing some sort of cool wearable, you're going to ask the question, how are they doing that? And the answer is going to be because they've got a MetaKey.
Yeah, I like the naming of the specific object as well, because what you're getting at is it provides access, right? A key provides access, and that's kind of what you're doing with the MetaKey there. I want to give a shout out to the Digiphysical guys that are like pushing all this Digiphysical, either stuff like you see behind you with the Elite or MetaFactory or Salt and Satoshi. All these guys,
MetaFactory.
Dude, I would love to see a MetaKey in real life, like a Digiphysical one. I know the idea would be to do it via your phone and then be able to, like you said, access all these different things, but a MetaKey in real life, that would be really cool. So tell me about the community here. You're kind of bringing all these people in via the incentivization of owning the key to get access. Has there been community votes on different things you guys might want to have on that MetaKey, or what's been the community growth like since you've launched?
At the start, we had a ton of people coming in and asking questions as to, why should we buy MetaKey 1? What's the difference between MetaKey 2? How does this come together? What do you have going on? And it was really cool to see the community themselves or other people stepping up and answering those questions because they've done their research, and coming up with ideas. And I think a week or two after launch, they were coming up with their own ideas. They were like, "Hey, Matty, we're building a game. We're about to launch a collectible project. We'd love to airdrop the Medikey community." Or, I'm a builder in Decentraland. I'd love to build someone a free building that you guys can use as a Medikey community. So it's quite interesting actually, because at some point, I think the community will be so strong that they'll just keep providing value to their own people. That that will be half the integrations there and half the value added there. I am quite happy with the mindset of the overall community, because generally what happens in Discord is a lot of price talk, which is great. This whole space is about entrepreneurship and money and kind of earning more capital, and that's cool. But our Discord is really interesting because we have people thinking about all the cool stuff they can do, use case and utility driven. Maybe we can, then maybe they've got a land in Decentraland, and then they're like, oh, I remember like 2 weeks ago when we had the Shark Tank building, we had someone who said, "Hey, let's do an after party at my place. I'm a DJ." So after the Shark Tank event, we went there. He played some music. I think he built in a special access point if you have the Medikey. There was another NFT which you can use and you can add a jetpack to yourself and fly around that building. So it's like all these, like the community eventually will take charge and they can build in whatever they want with the Medikey. But yeah, I'm happy with that. We also hired a few people to go out there and find the cool new NFT projects that are coming out and come into the Medikey Discord and put it into this channel that we've called NFT Radar. So NFT Radar now eventually will be a bit of it will be a locked channel, but basically it feeds every day or every week. There's like 3 to 4 posts and descriptions and a kind of a summary as to some new projects that are coming out, whether it be gutter cats or apes or amoebas. I think the space is about trying to get that knowledge somewhere and then talk about it and figure out a strategy together that makes sense.
Yeah, I love the integrations that exist now, but I do feel like that technology is not there when it comes to trying to really take it to the next level, like in just completely access or have a tokenized access right off the bat. Like, okay, this area we want completely kind of left alone only to people that have the token. I feel like that doesn't exist in any scalable way at this point. Are you running into anything in the metaverse where you're just like, well, shit, maybe we'll have that in a year, but it just isn't happening in voxels or it isn't happening in sandbox? Are you seeing anything that where like
it actually is? It's happening to a certain level in Decentraland. So for example, Justin Blau, he released some art I think a year ago on Maker's Place, and at the same time he built a club in Decentraland where he plays his unreleased music. You can only go into that club if you have his art piece. So if you have his NFT, it's in your wallet, you click the door and it only opens if you have that NFT in your wallet. So if you're a supporter of his and you bought his art, it acts as a ticket as well to his club. And the doors actually open and then you can go in only if you have the Medikey. So you can think of how many use cases that can be built into, right? You can have a VIP area. You could instead of a door, you could have a teleporter that teleports you to a special room where you're maybe having a chat with Mark Cuban or something.
Yeah.
And it's a special AMA for people that have the Medikey. It completely opens the door to have locked virtual spaces all connected to blockchain and your wallet and the stuff in it.
Yeah. So are you not basically like running into any boundaries when it comes to the Medikey and how you want to use it? Is it just kind of waiting for more platforms to come out and then having partnerships there?
There definitely are some boundaries, but I think there's a lot of stuff we can do now. We're in a space where we're at a time where the space has matured. That's had 3 years of maturity. So there is, like, Decentraland's a pretty open canvas in the sense of you can come in and build whatever you want. I think structurally they've done a lot to make that SDK quite versatile. So we can even integrate our own cryptocurrency if we want to. We can use our NFTs to turn into guns and wearables and avatars and fly around and do that sort of stuff. And I think that's plenty for now. I think it's fun and we can really start to experiment with that. Eventually there'll be things like the ability to make, fully functional multiplayer games with like dashboards and stuff like that. And, we'll take it there when it comes, but at an experimental level, from Ethermon to MetaZone to non-fungible to Zappify, there's all these websites that have now appeared that have built a game or a platform and are probably continuing to build their offering, but might be open for us to say, hey, why don't we just bring in the meta key there, and maybe people playing the Ethermon game can have a special hat or have a special Pokemon Ethermon.
All right. Well, we've got some questions to get to in the chat, but I want to finish up with MetaKey here. When you guys first created the project and you kind of were getting it off the ground, maybe you did that sale. Was there specific projects where you're like, we have to do these first, and then I guess I'll finish up with maybe some potential drops that you can give to us, drops of information maybe that you can give to us on what is to come.
Prioritization for us is a challenge because there's like all this cool stuff we want to do, right? We want to make this meta key like this massive discount card where anything in this, if Samsung comes and releases digital screens, we're like, hey, for meta key holders, you get an extra 10% off. All this sort of cool stuff we want to do. But for us, prioritization is probably the biggest challenge where we're like, all right, well, what's more realistic? Who can we focus on first? We're working with the Sandbox. We're working with Decentraland. We're going to do a Decentraland wearables drop where if you have the meta key, you're going to get a special wearable to represent the culture of the meta key. So the meta key kind of vibe is now turning into a very space piratey theme where the stuff that we're building in our HQ will be like from, flying and floating ships to maybe aliens and stuff on an island somewhere. So it's going to kind of build on that sort of a culture, and we're going to do a Decentraland wearables drop. We're also purchasing land, one of the biggest land acquisitions in one of these virtual worlds. I can't say which one. I'll let them announce it. And we're going to build like massive games there and allow the community to integrate whichever NFTs they're making. So maybe they'll make gutter cats, all right? Maybe they're part of the community and they want to build their own game. They don't have to buy a Sandbox land. They can just build it out on our land and integrate their cats on our land.
You let it drop
this massive
there, man.
Community.
You let it drop.
There you go.
I was gonna guess that out loud anyways, man, but that's awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty clear what it's probably going to be. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, why do creators need to go and buy their own land? Like, it's becoming quite expensive, right? $2,000 to $3,000, sometimes $5,000 in Decentraland if you want to put up a gallery. Why not buy a meta key that allows you to build a gallery, or at least build a presence in here as part of the community, or even change the art in the galleries? When we run conferences and we have all this art around our conference centers or all these spaces, you'll be able to change the art on that land based on whether you have the meta key or not. So we're trying to build these on-ramps and features where creators don't have to fork out money, or the community can kind of integrate with blockchain and add dynamically things across this space. But yeah.
Yeah, Easy and
a lot to
Crypto.
do.
Yeah, Easy and Crypto's in the house here, and he's saying, I think he said it about 2 minutes ago, so it really ties into what you're saying. He says maybe MetaKey could work with access to put up art in Metaverse spaces, which is exactly what Matty just touched on. So great stuff there. Before we hop out and we talk general NFT markets, is there anything you want to hit about MetaKey that maybe we didn't touch on just before we hop out?
No, I think it's just one of those projects that will kind of mature at its at a pace that's kind of good. We have a lot in the works from, like there's all these problems that need solving, like what Ezin said, and it's good to see Ezin in there. But from, providing a solution for artists to display their art in a world without buying land, to wanting to build out like a massive HQ, to a gaming center in some projects. Like, there's so much we want to do, but we have 5 or 6 people in-house and a few other people offshore. So we have a pretty big team and a good amount of funding to make it all happen. So as long as you're plugged into the platform and just watching the space, and maybe get a meta key, I think we only have like 97 left of edition 2 from 750. And then we released edition 3, which is the last collector edition. So if you have any of these, you get a physical collectible. And you also get like special, so that when we're coding it in and aesthetically it'll look different. When you go into, say, a game or something, you'll have like a black dragon instead of a green dragon, right? Based on which edition you have, etc., etc.
Are these are these editions all part of one series? Like, is there?
Yeah. So the first 3 editions, we have edition 1, which is the Genesis one, which has 500 supply. That's sold out. Edition 2, which had 750 supply. That's, I think 660 of them have been bought. There's only like 95 or something left. And so then once we release edition 3, which has 1,000 supply, those 3 are collector editions. That's one series. And then we'll continue to add edition 4 or 5, but they'll have massive supply, like 5 or 10,000 supply. But edition 1 and 2 and 3 will always have like special things that we'll integrate for them. They're kind of like just to reward our early supporters that, took the risk and bought a Medikey. I think by the time we release the 4th one, it'll more be a utility purchase because there'll be so much to do with the Medikey.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I think you gave us a great breakdown there. Easy and Crypto saying, okay, I'm having to bust into my secret stash to pick up a key. So it looks like we'll have some guys picking up those last bits. So let's jump out and talk NFT marketplace. Let's talk about generative art and where we are in the cycle right now, just in general. I know, again, saw a big hype run up. I think I would say meme is probably the start of most of it. When it comes to NFTs, I think they were launched like October, and I just want to have this conversation with you, and it's going to be an awesome experience. So where do you think we are in the marketplace right now, and what was your experience over the past 8 months, man? Let's talk some NFTs.
So when you say meme was one of the first in generative art, or
oh no,
what do
just
you mean by
I think timeline wise, meme kind of started us on this run, and then we got to where we are now, which is generative art. I think that's really BAYC. We saw Super Yeti a little bit here, kind of lose its floor a little bit, but just kind of want to get your take in general on the NFT market over the last 8 months, maybe a year, and just see where we can go from there.
It's been crazy, right? I think we just touched the moon and came back down a little bit. We went all the way to Christie's, did a $70 million sale, hit like the 3rd highest living artist record, and then kind of found our feet somewhere after all the news press and all that, back to just basically the true collectors that are here to build games or collect and play and all that sort of stuff. I think we're at a stage where it's kind of like Bitcoin in the early days in 2017, where it hit the radar of many, many people, and they're like, holy shit, what's this asset class? Is it here to stay? Is it not? And if it's not, like if kind of when things died down a bit, they forgot about it a little bit, but development continued to happen in the blockchain or crypto ecosystem. So I think in the NFT space, we're at a space where, like when I was involved a year ago, people in crypto didn't even know what NFTs were. There was literally just a handful of people that knew what NFTs were. And people in broader crypto and Bitcoin market, in the Bitcoin space, in different crypto spheres, had no clue what the heck NFTs were. So when we were breaking out and then we had crypto personalities that were tweeting about NFTs, for us, that was a big deal. Then you eventually had Mark Cuban and Gary Vee and those sorts of people and mainstream people and news outlets. SNL start tweeting about NFTs. So it's on everyone's radar. I know, and I'm talking to some projects, there's some massive games that are looking at NFTs quite seriously and to see how it fits into their ecosystem. So I think we're at a stage where some projects are going to take the risk and the plunge and see how, on a utility basis, this makes sense for either their game or as an art platform. We obviously have Christie's and Sotheby's taking this really seriously and building a presence in DCL or a presence in different places, auctioning off certain NFTs. And look, it keeps performing for them. I mean, we had an Alien Punk sale for 11 million. We have a Ferocious art sale there soon. So if they keep doing well, then it's definitely going to be a big part of their overall offering. So I think we're at a level of just stabilization and sideways action for a bit. But one thing I know about this NFT space, it's always come in waves, and the next wave has always been bigger than the last wave. So I don't know what it's going to look like next time it comes. Yeah. I think it might be the gaming sector that might take, front row seats, but I know when it comes, this is going to be mayhem again. It's been like that for 3 years.
Yeah, so the last 3 months, really generative art, maybe 2. Since you've been building Medikey heads down, and we talked about it before the episode. Yeah, I was asking you if you had an ape and all these different things, and you said no. You kind of didn't catch the ape hype. But it's been generative art. Why do you think generative art, and maybe specifically Bored Ape Yacht Club, has seen the growth that they have? Like, it fascinates me how successful they've been with their community in such a short amount of time.
I think identity. I think people like to purchase these things, and each one is unique almost, right? And then they purchase it, and then they're like, oh, boom, here we go. Here's a unique thing that I can display as myself and put it in their profile picture. I mean, how many people that played Pokemon put Charizard as their profile picture? I'm not sure if many people did that. But if it was a special Charizard that had something special with the one that you got, maybe you'd put it because it represents, you and what you purchased. I think people on the internet want to represent themselves, and Bored Apes or Punks, it looks like they do a really good job of that, because suddenly if you put your profile picture, everyone knows that, hey, you're a part of that crew, right? And Bored Ape seems interesting because if you go on their website, they're building a lot of utility. It's a real sense of community. It looks like everyone's got them. And it's quite interesting. I'm interested to see how they continue, because they came out of nowhere where Punks was kind of leading the charge, and now suddenly Bored Apes are massive and everyone's got one. So I think generative art or generative identities within communities are going to be a big deal. And I know for the MetaKey, again, like we're kind of playing with the concept of everything that's working right now. So even generative art collectible projects, why not airdrop them for free to the MetaKey holders, so that us in our own MetaKey Discord have our own identity. So we're going to be working on a similar project, free to claim if you have the MetaKey. It's going to be really well designed. But I think as the space evolves, you kind of see the maturity in certain spaces, and you see, oh, well, this thing's here to stay, so let's add that to the MetaKey offering. That thing's here to stay, let's add that to the MetaKey offering. But yeah, man, excited with all these communities that are forming. Bored Apes, whether it be Gutter Cats, if they can form a community and continue building out what else they can do in this space, I think it's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, we've been talking about NFTs pretty much the whole conversation, which is exactly what I wanted to do. But social tokens, I feel like, are a little bit in parallel. They offer some of the same access. What do you think social tokens' role is in maybe the relationship between the two? It's a little bit complex when you start adding the two together, but I definitely want to get your input here.
NFTs and social tokens?
Mm-hmm.
I think they can do a lot in terms of incentivizing the community. So, and governance and voting, although I think it shouldn't be just, buy a ton of social tokens and now you're a whale, so you can kind of control the project. I feel like there needs to be a better governance structure there, but using a social token to, I think as an investment vehicle, it's massive. So for a project that has a social token that external people to the community believe in, they may not be part of the community, right? They may not want to get into Discord and jump into MetaKey events or lads events, etc. But they may invest in the community because they think it's going to be big, so they can purchase some social tokens. And if you have a treasury, 20%, 25% for yourself, now you can start to pay services and incentivize people within the community with those tokens. So I think it plays a big role in terms of funding the community at the start, and then once that happens, I think it's just in terms of rewards and governance and even using them. So for example, if you have an NFT and maybe 10,000 of the tokens, you can get a really special thing. There's all sorts of experimentation that can be done, even fractionalizing and locking it up, and maybe making your own marketplace for your own NFTs that are, maybe you have 100 different collectible projects, 10 years down the line for your community, and you have your own marketplace, you have your own social token that you can use to purchase them. So the offering of social tokens, I think, will continue to evolve, and I think the NFTs and social token combination is massive for projects and communities that will continue to build for the next 1 to 3 years.
Yeah, we had a commenter in one of our earlier streams, I think this week, and I think the comment was utility equals infinity, and that's kind of paraphrasing, obviously, but I think you were right when touching on NFTs and social tokens as we discuss them, because you can do anything. It's really just kind of honing in on exactly what you want to do. It's really, you almost get exhausted thinking about the amount of things you can do with all these things. So I know you're definitely feeling that. That's literally what your project is supposed to do, is find the utility and bring that to your community. So, okay. So I want to talk about, you mentioned gaming as something that's coming next. Is that somewhere where you're going to like focus? And I know you're super heavy into a MetaKey right now, but are you investing in certain verticals within NFTs? What do those look like?
As in me personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think gaming is going to be massive. I think game studios are going to be really good, really big. So for example, Dapper Labs, right? Dapper Labs game, they experimented with CryptoKitties. They've gone on to make Flow blockchain. They've gone on to basically grab IPs that are big and bring them to their platforms. So if you invested in Dapper Labs as a studio, you would have done really well because they're on an equity level. They go on to do big things, and that sort of position grows in value quite a lot. And I think the new game studios or the new studios or the new, I guess, companies that build games and blockchains and all sorts of protocols for their community or whatever they're offering is going to be so versatile. And some of them are going to go on to become giants where they have like hundreds of different, many things that they've built. So for me, I'm interested in that space quite heavily. I have a venture fund that I'll be releasing quite soon. They'll have a ton of capital to invest in equity and crypto and NFTs and all sorts of stuff. And I'm really excited about gaming. Again, on an equity level, but in terms of NFT investing, if any game goes on to exist for 10 years plus and has a user base in the millions, their early NFTs will always be extremely valuable. You can see that with Axie Infinity, Mystic Axies, their Origin Axies, and all that sort of stuff. So, big time studio. I know Ari pretty well, and I know they're going to go on to build a pretty cool game. So I'm always on the hunt for the early NFTs of a potential massive game. I think they're going to be big.
Is that investment fund announced?
No, but
you're
I
dropping
haven't announced it
everything.
officially.
You're dropping everything
No,
on
I
the
can.
channel, man.
I've talked about it, but I haven't officially announced it. So I'm happy to talk about it as long
Yeah.
as I don't throw out figures and the name.
No, that's all good. I won't ask you for those two things specifically. So if I'm looking at a game specifically like Axies, taking the information you just gave me, your investment thesis would be let's invest in the actual Mystic Axies and not the maybe Axie token. And none of this is investment advice, guys. Do your own research, everything you hear on the channel. But which one are you choosing there?
It's you got to play it by the risk strategy. When Axie Infinity, first released the token, I don't think they were doing hundreds of thousands of people playing the game. So the safer bet would be the token, right? Axis is a token, or a cryptocurrency in general has massive market. It has massive visibility. It goes on to Binance. People don't even know what the hell Axie Infinity is. They go on to buy Axis token. So I've got quite a lot of Axis token, but I also have the NFTs because for me, we're still seeing the maturity of a market, like a proper game economy. How is it affected and what assets increase in value because of that game doing well? Is it the NFTs or is it the token? And I think both of them are quite different. I was actually going to do a thread about this quite soon about how these two are not as correlated as we think they may be, or at least they act differently. So if the game goes on to do really, really well, we will see some NFTs appreciating value quite highly. Like maybe some Decentraland land will go from 4,000 to 10,000 mana floor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that mana token will go from appreciate at all. Maybe it's going down, right? It was going sideways for a long time, but the NFTs were going up. So there's like there's different dynamics. NFTs have much less liquidity. If some whale comes into Axie Infinity with 100 Ethereum, he can probably push the floor of Mystic Axies from 8 Ethereum to 15. You can't do that sort of a movement if you want to buy Axis tokens. So NFTs have a lot of movement with their valuations based on just mini whales coming in and splurging, $500,000 to a couple million. They can just change everything. But for me, it's exciting just to be part of everything, buy some NFTs, buy some Axis tokens, and just see how it all plays out for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we see that on Wax a little bit, where the adoption of Wax was happening, where we saw more and more users trying to buy these NFTs, but the Wax token was either via its tokenomics or via whatever, you weren't seeing as much appreciation in the Wax token, but you were seeing massive users flood into that platform. So that's
yeah, it's surprising. I don't think Wax token appreciated much, but like you said, there was so much going on from Street Fighter dropping on their platform to all these other things. So it is interesting, how the dynamic works.
Yeah, we definitely saw Flow kind of shoot up there for a little while, so that was fun to watch, and we'll be watching Dapper Labs, in perpetuity. So I want to, you touched on this question where you I think you said mini whales, and I do want to get your take here. What is the role of like super heavy degen ETH new money type people in this environment? I do feel like some guys like Whale Shark, some guys like I mean, you name it, Pranksy, all these guys that have like a ton of money, I feel like are just like pumping the industry almost to life with these massive sales, and then trying to see if that kind of compounds. Do you see that as like a role in the? I want to just get your take in general. I don't even know what I'm asking, but just want to get your
Yeah, yeah,
take on
yeah.
these guys.
I'm not sure about role, but I can comment on influence. I
Mm-hmm.
think the market is relatively small. So if you are a whale with like say $5 to $15 million, you can really influence the market. You can bring these projects to life. You can buy a shit ton of supply, scream about how cool the project is on Twitter. Everyone jumps in and you can sell your supply to them, make a ton of money, compound that, go to the next project. You can, I think if you take $10 million to go buy mana token, it might push the price up, 2 to 5%,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10%, but it's not going to have this long lasting effect. If you do that in the NFT industry, you pull out that supply of those NFTs. So if any new demand comes in, they got to buy it higher. And then everyone's like, oh, NFT, the floor's gone here and, it's overtaken this and that. That NFT buzz kind of gets everyone else FOMOing in, and they go on to buy it at higher prices. And then at some stage, you kind of sell some of your NFTs. And that's why I'm a bit cautious on talking about collectible projects, because I'm not sure about their longevity. In 2018, I saw like 50 projects launch and literally two survived long term. Um, so for me, it's like scary. It gives me anxiety if I were to mention that I'm part of any collectible project, because I just don't know how that's going to do unless it's a very like Punks. It looks like Punks, has that story to it, so it's a little bit different. And Bored Apes is has fascinated me because the community has gone on to buy land in the sandbox,
Mm-hmm.
build all sorts of utilities. So that part of it's really cool. But if it was any other collectible project that was just pumping because it's pumping, give it a month and there's going to be 5 new collectible projects that will look just as attractive that you will want to jump into, right? So for me, I think if you have money, you can control the market to a certain degree in this space right now.
I love that take, man. I appreciate your insights there. I've got some questions from the community, and we'll hit a couple more questions and let you get out of here. GT Sewell is saying, what are your thoughts on social tokens and NFT legalities as a security moving forward?
That's something we're looking at as well. I'm not a lawyer, so this is just my opinion, but I think it goes on. It's interesting because some people are saying, as if the asset goes up in value, then it can be seen as security or something that
Yeah.
is an investment vehicle, right? And obviously, social tokens do that. Then that they're kind of designed. If you plug them in and you provide liquidity on Uniswap, they're going to go on and do that if someone comes in and purchases them. Um, it's yeah, it's hard, man, because you want to use them within the community because they do so much for the community, but you don't want to classify it as a security. So I think there's got to be some sort of middle ground there. When I was looking into this, and I was looking into maybe possibly bringing out a token for one of my projects, I was talking to some lawyers, and they were asking me, what is it used for? Where do you use the token? Um, are you selling the token as a are you doing a pre-sale for the token in the sense of a private, are you privately selling it maybe at the start? Um, Maybe there's a play where you don't sell anything, but you just airdrop it to your community and you guys can use it internally. Or maybe there's a play. I think RNG community have their own token, RNG token, but they don't have any liquidity on Uniswap. So people just buy and sell stuff within their community. And that has like an arbitrary value where it doesn't even have a value, just people just purchase the art that the community makes or curates,
Wow.
and that sort of stuff. So it can get really complicated. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have the full answer to it.
That's weird, man. So it's people accept RNG as currency, but there's no valuation. Like there's not a stated valuation of that currency.
I think that's the case because I was talking to Richard, who has run that, and he was saying how people they run competitions within the community, like, hey, let's just make art and we can just do an auction within the community. And people have the nature of hoarding, right? I love to collect stuff. I love to collect currency and kind of stack it up. That's just entrepreneurs that they do that no matter what it is.
Yeah.
So if you have that within a community and you're like, you have the ability to purchase stuff within that own community that has art that come up with games, and they're like, oh, we're going to accept this you to be able to use that currency in our game, that may not have any financial value, but it has that value within that community for game items, for wearables, for art, for all these things that are special to that community. So that's I think a play that you can take if you want to disconnect it from the whole security thing, because there's no value attached to it.
Awesome.
But then where's the fun in that? Because then you can't track the price, right?
It's true. Well, I guess you could, I mean, collecting is, like you said, a game in and of itself. So even if something maybe doesn't have a stated value, it's still fun to hoard a little bit.
It's kind of like RuneScape gold or gems and stuff in games. Like, I'm not sure if you played RuneScape, but I remember just stacking gold as much as I.
Dude, I remember
Yeah,
crying
do you remember
because
this?
I died in the wilderness and lost all of my gear. That was like,
I used to just mine iron ore and was it rune or adamantite ore or whatever, and make
yeah.
like armor and sell that armor and buy gloves and just hustle in the marketplace all the time and just stack my gold just for fun. Like, I couldn't do anything with that, but I just love making money, right? So
Dude, I used to be fishing for lobsters and cooking the lobsters and selling them because they went for like a really
I mean,
big
chopping
premium.
wood and yeah, good times, man. But hey,
Yeah.
look, that RuneScape is its own community, right? They built a game. They had, I don't think they had a creator economy. Oh wait, they did, because you could make your own armor and stuff. So yeah, technically that
Yeah.
on blockchain.
Man, Crypto Buffalo is one of the guys on the team here at Lad City, and he does a lot of cool things for the shows here. He's the director behind a lot of the shows, and he just is, and he hosts a Lad City Radio, which is a cool piece. But he's got some questions here that I want to get to. But he was specifically talking about Axie Infinity. In all the promos that they're showing, play to earn, basically. And I like this discussion we were having on RuneScape because there's an element when you add the play to earn stuff that Axie has where someone's like, hey, I'll grind 24 hours a day for your scholarship and I will do all this stuff. Is there a dark side to this? I think honestly, we were having that discussion and thinking that once you add a play to earn mechanic, it can get pretty scary pretty fast with someone having to earn income and to pay for something and all these different aspects. What do you think about that?
I think in some countries it's liberating, because in some places, you're working as a cleaner, or maybe a job that you don't want to do, and really working hard to get an income. Whereas now you can kind of do it digitally, mobile and gaming, and you can all as a family strategize what's going on. I think in certain countries it's liberating, and it provides like an income source that didn't exist. There could be a dark side if certain people. I was thinking about this as well, in the sense of when a game is very economy driven, and very money driven, and the incentives are to make a profit, not to win tournaments, and not to just be, game centric, just for fun kind of platform, what it's going to look like. But with Axie Infinity, it's interesting, man, because I've played the game, and the game is really fun. Like, I got addicted to it within a month after I learned what to do, and I was just playing it all the time, and I was like, shit, this is just too addictive, and I deleted the game. So I know that they've figured out a game that is actually fun and addictive and has that competitor level to it. For them, it's kind of like it's seeming like bringing in if you're spending time here, you get incentivized for that time experience. But externally to that, I guess people are making guilds and hiring like 50 people to just grind for them and stuff. But this grinding thing happens on other games as well. Like, it happens in RuneScape.
Wow.
It happens in World of Warcraft or Dota and all these sort of things, where you just like hire someone and he just plays really good for you and ranks you up higher. But in this case, it's money. So it is interesting, man. I'm not sure how dark the dark side could get, but we don't know how crazy it can be because money's involved.
Yeah, it's when you slap blockchain on something, it doesn't necessarily answer all the questions for human greed and all these different things, man. Yeah, absolutely. So this has been a great conversation. I think the last question I have from the community that I'll get to is from Crypto Buffalo again. He's saying, do you know of any new and exciting metaverses that nobody is talking about yet?
I do, but they haven't launched yet.
Oh, okay.
I think Triple Eight, he tweeted something out about the new world,
Okay.
what he's building. So that's going to be an interesting kind of planet-based metaverse. I do know that there's going to be a lot of games that will take the virtual land model. It's just so profitable. I mean, Decentraland have sold like 50, tens of millions of dollars worth of land. Sandbox has raised, a ton of money on primary sales because of land. It's if you have a game and you can sell land, people spend a ton of money on that land because it feels like you own a stake of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's definitely going to be this whole, whether it be next year or the year after. I feel like a ton of games are going to start offering land to sell. Um,
I
whether that's part of the metaverse or just a gaming experience, who knows?
I don't even want to say this out loud, but I guess for the viewers here and for you, I'm thinking like what if you mashed up generative art with land and you just gave a whole bunch of different, you know, different kind of scenarios where you have desert, forest, all these different things, and you throw that together in
Mm,
a generative art piece.
that could be a thing. That could
Mm,
totally be a thing.
yeah.
Like you own a certain land piece, but it's generated. And or even the sizes could be generated, right? So maybe like you get a larger width and a height, space dimension, but the height can also be
Mm,
randomly generated.
the
Maybe one's like
height.
massively large. Um,
We're
that's a
talking
pretty
after
cool
the
idea.
show. Let's talk after the show on this one. All right,
I
guys.
feel like the generative distribution is epic.
Yes.
People just get so excited about that because you just don't know what you're going to get, and if you get something, you can trade it. That whole part, whether it be gutter cats or punks or whatever, is just definitely there's an element of awesomeness in there.
It's so scalable too. You're really only creating like what 12 traits and you're just mashing them together to create 10,000
Mm.
different, assets. It's a little bit more
Hmm.
scalable than saying, "Okay, one by one draw these things." So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, well, we'll talk a little bit after here, but you guys have been great the entire time, asking all the great questions for Matty here for DCL Blogger. Uh, we had a great conversation about MetaKey. Definitely check that project out. Matty, if you want to drop your links, and then the last question I'll have is a book recommendation. So any type, non-crypto, crypto, you just hit us with a book recommendation after those links.
Me and a book recommendation.
Yes.
I don't read books, man.
Oh man, how about a movie?
Um, all right. Well, first of all, the links, just go to the metakey.com if you want to figure out what the project is about. We're kind of updating that with a much more simpler landing page, but it's going to be very clear what the project is in about a month or two. We've got a collectible project that we're going to drop. You've got some land that we're going to buy. We've got some wearables we're going to drop. A physical key for MetaKey holders, more partnerships. We're going full force at this, and obviously with my fund and my network, anything that comes through my fund and my network, I'll help to integrate into the MetaKey. Ideally, who knows how big the MetaKey can get? We could be this key that maybe Atari have in their games that does something special. So
Mm,
we'll see what happens. I mean, everyone's in a conversation. These conversations are pretty big, and everyone wants to get into the blockchain space and do something with NFTs, and we could be that solution just to give them that PR and be like, hey, just do this in your game, and you will appeal to a big part of the community. So that's the goal with the MetaKey. Go to DCL Blogger on Twitter. I'm always tweeting about stuff, or we'll be doing a lot more. And a book or a movie. I am the worst reader in the world. I don't. I just read 2 pages and I just get bored and I scan through everything else and read the blurb or go on YouTube and watch a quick 2 minute recap.
yeah.
Um, it's tough, man. I don't
Yeah.
have a book. I'm sorry, but a movie that I like would probably be Ready Player One. That kind of motivates me to push for that sort of a future. At least having experiences with people that you become good friends with. A lot of people online that could be complete anons to you, whether it be in games or whether it be people that you've been chatting to on Twitter. And why not just one day all catch up and go to a concert together or go to some, an event where there's roller coaster rides or just like hang out together and have
Mm-hmm.
this kind of extra experience. So I'm a big fan of the whole Ready Player One reality.
Yeah, it had to be Ready Player One, man. You heard it here first. You heard a lot of alpha on this episode here first, but the lads are all thanking you for stopping by here, Matty. Excellent episode, man. Hope to have you on again soon, and definitely an awesome business model, by the way, that with the MetaKey, and we'll follow what you'll be doing with that community and that project. So thanks again.
Awesome. No, thank you for being